I think the incentive not to cheat for you massively outweigh the incentives to cheat, based on how much money you made, based on public information, but also based on all the other hats that you're wearing within the chess world. That you don't need to cheat to be a good commentator, or if
But
that
I
makes
don't
any
think that
sense.
we need to turn it into like you justifying yourself. Because I don't really think that anything has been presented in which you, I understand if you want, if you feel like you
Yeah.
want
No,
to
I
justify
agree.
yourself,
Hmm.
but I don't think that we've even come close to that. Like again, it just feels like a lot of random things thrown at you.
Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking is not the approach. Like if you have genuine suspicions about online cheating, which is fair, then you should have a consistent scientific approach. And Vladimir does not have a scientific approach. Like it's just a bunch of unrelated. It's like I'm going to throw the camera stuff at you, and then you give an explanation. I'm going to throw the you got eight and a half
Bishop
out of
C8.
11. Yeah, yeah, or just moves, which yeah, I'm sure you want to discuss that, but
Yeah, because that's the one most people are believing, by the
I
way, just
think
so
we
you
should
know. Hmm.
definitely
definitely cover that, and that was
sure.
one of the questions that I wanted to steer the discussion towards. Let's talk Bishop C8. Feel free to get as technical as you want. I'll edit everything and put like a board or anything. So if you want to talk moves, go ahead. Um,
I do.
what's the story behind this Bishop to C8? Because I know it was, let's say, shopped around the chess world, and it was shown around to people, at the
Hmm.
grandmaster and higher level.
Can I? So, if we want to show a board, should I share my screen?
No, 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 no. We'll edit it. So feel free to go as technical as possible. We'll follow you in the post
Oh,
production.
you'll superimpose editing. I mean,
Yes,
I also
yes.
want you to like on my right side is my chess-based game history from Tuesday the 16th of 2022, August 2022. And
Okay,
I
okay.
see.
In
Mhm.
that case, I need to set up a new.
No, that's
Uh,
okay. Like if it's a hassle, then that's okay.
I
Maybe you could send it afterwards.
I could send it afterwards, but
Okay.
you know,
And we can
people
edit that in.
an unnamed GM is like, well, what's the use of this? Like, you could have deleted a game. And it's like, well, you're just fucked in the head. Like, how many layers of this am I going to do to conceal the fact that like I announced a candidate move? So should I like lay the the explanatory groundwork for like what the accusation,
yes,
what the
yes,
charge
please.
is?
Yes, please.
So I put out a stream again on YouTube of a Title Tuesday where I did well, and I don't remember how I scored. It was August 6th, August 16th, Tuesday, obviously 2022. And and you can like people watching this can watch my YouTube video. You'll superimpose it. I played Vugar Rasulov. um, I played Vugar Rasulov, I think, in round like 9. I'm actually opening up the video right now. There it is. And of course, it's already like at that moment. Um, yeah,
Sorry,
this was
just to
game.
interrupt for a second. You said it was
Mhm.
August, which day?
August. Let me confirm that just so I don't like
2022 or 2023?
2022. Like I'm just
2022. I'm pretty sure, but let me go on chess.com. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Yeah, Fabi. Sorry.
no, I just wanted to like see the results because not out of any great interest, but just for the record, just to have
Vugar
like
Rasulov.
handy.
Yeah, so it was August. Wow, we played more times than I remember. There it is. 2021, 2022, August. Wow, it's funny. I beat him 2 Title Tuesdays in a row, 9th and the 16th. It was August 16th, 2022.
August 16th. Okay.
I got second place that time.
Yeah, I see it. Hikaru got first. Huge shock.
Oh, wow. And actually kind of shocked that I got second.
Like third place, I don't even recognize Fusik. Jakob Fus. I don't really recognize the name.
I wouldn't make
He's
a
Um,
big
a
fuss out of I
he's
wouldn't
a
make a big fuss out of that if I were you. Just kidding.
he's a collegiate player.
okay.
He
Okay.
goes to UTRGV.
Anyway, just for the record, yeah, it was Hikaru first, year second, and Fusik third place. And the
Yeah,
prizes were
so
lesser back then, yeah?
yeah, this is like the medieval, this is like at the Stone Age, right? And what's funny is that the last round I played Parabian and I was like shitting my pants and like I wanted to make a draw and it was a pawn end game and I made a losing move. And I was just losing in one move in a pawn end game and he had a minute to 20 seconds, but then he actually managed to lose it and I was so excited that like the next day or I think I put it in some video. Yeah, I put it in my pawn and game video, which I was preparing that very same day. So on my game history, I see the game with Paravian in ChessBase that I looked at that evening or even that very same stream after the segment that got put out on YouTube. Anyways, So I play Rasulov in round, so this is 1 hour, round 7, 8, 9, 10, penultimate. And I get a small advantage. And then there's a segment that Kramnik focuses on. And here's what I say during the segment. I'm going to play the segment to myself and then say it. Okay, there it is. So he makes a move. Can I trap his bishop somehow? And I'm thinking, I guess I don't. Bishop c8 is very interesting. And clearly, by the way, I'm looking at the same exact spot the entire time, like at my main monitor. So the cognitive insanity of even claiming that I did something is crazy. But this was the phrase, right? That was interesting. And I found out about this a couple months ago because Kramnik tweeted about this in like a reply to a reply. So I was aware of this. I just never thought it would get blown up. He thinks that the phrase bishop c8 is interesting. Or did I say very interesting? Did I say very? Yeah, I said, see, I don't even know how I said bishop c8 is very interesting. But that's the wording, that's the phrase that is the smoking gun. Okay, am I making sense so far?
Yeah.
Yes.
So after I said that phrase, bishop c8 is very interesting, I played the move h6, which is the most natural move in the position, as every GM would agree, right? So again, to be clear, I didn't even play this move in the game. But the fact that I mentioned it made Kramnik suspicious because bishop c8, which is a retreating move, that is just a move. Like we can actually get to the move itself. It's just a move. It is the second option, I think, of Leela. And because it's the second option of Leela for some like ridiculous reason, like there's some crazy line there. He believes, like his theory or his question, one of the possibilities that he, in an open-ended fashion proposes is that I have a Leela on the wall or on a third monitor or up my ass or up his ass. That's probably the version closest to the truth. And that, I accidentally read off the second line of Leela. Like I accidentally, without realizing it, saw that that was the proposal and then like aired it out because why would he say that this like weird move is very interesting? And his evidence is that he asked like 10 GMs and all of them agreed that h6 would be their move, which is like, I played that, but also like presumably expressed surprise to such a degree that one GM, and I challenged this person to show his face, said, bishop c8 is enough for me. I don't need any other evidence. Can we all agree that that is biblically fucked up thing to say? Or am I like misinterpreting this?
No, so I actually have maybe an interesting perspective. I'll just say like how I view this.
Please.
Because this was during US Championship. It was before one of the games, and I was with my coach, and then we just saw this video by Kramnik, and jump through. So first there was a game against Wesley. I can also we can go through that after, but yeah, there was this moment which for Kramnik was clearly the main moment. This was like he is presenting basically the convincing evidence. Bishop to c8. And then we get to this moment. And so my thought was, of course, yeah, it is on its surface a weird move. But I also had this other thought that I'm not looking at the position while playing it. I'm looking at the position from the side. And that really changes your perspective of how you see a position. And the other thing is that also normally during a game, you don't have access to a person's thoughts. So I have no idea what all my opponent's thoughts were. I played Sam Schenkel in the last round. He made some weird moves. I would really love to hear his thoughts about why he made those decisions. I just have no idea because our thinking is different. Not everyone plays the same. Now, in terms of the logic behind the position, so my coach basically thought, okay, bishop c8 gets the bishop out of the way. And the idea was that after bishop to f4, you want to play knight f6 and you don't want to trade on f4. And this is a potential logic behind the position. You want to play knight f6 to d7 to c5, and you don't want to trade on f4, which is a possible logic. It can occur, especially if you're just kind of reading out your unfiltered thoughts in 1 second. Now, the actual correct decision for black is to trade on f4 with the knight and get the bishop pair, which it may or may not be an obvious positional decision. Like it could be obvious, it could also not be because it's a somewhat non-concrete position.
It is pretty obvious, but not for me, not for a positionally, challenged player like me. And I'm sure you'll get to that.
I wouldn't say it's obvious because also to me, the knight on c5 looks tremendously strong. Uh, so I would also be tempted to get the knight from h5 to c5 because it really looks strong there. So I wouldn't say that this is like an obvious decision which pieces to trade or where to trade them. And if you had played, for example, h6, bishop f4, bishop c8, that would actually be considered
That's actually
logical.
probably the most natural move now that I look at it after bishop f4. It's probably bishop c8 there.
It would be one of those like considered logical moves. Now, perhaps a mistake. From the computer will say it's a mistake, but it would be now from the computer's logic, the position is basically that black should play h6, bishop f4, knight takes f4, and bishop c8 changes nothing because anyway you're going to play h6 and you're going to take on f4, and it actually doesn't matter. Now, like I checked with like modern Stockfish, the third line of the engine is rook to g8, with the idea that you want to play h6 and bishop f4, knight f4, and then eventually g5, so the rook is on g8 and it doesn't change anything. And then I started making random moves like rook to h8, and that one is less accurate because the rook should probably be on the g file. So it's just sort of that position where it doesn't change a whole lot because the computer sees it as you will take. Now, what happened in the game is that you did play h6, you took on f4, and then you took on c3, which is a major positional mistake.
And then I followed up with another inaccuracy, by the way, that made it equal. Go on.
Yeah, so like people don't see the whole game, which is that when I saw the whole game, I played through it with a strong engine, and I was like, this is just a random bullshit blitz game. You make a mistake, he makes a mistake, you make a mistake, eventually you won because he blundered a pawn in a position which was already zeros. Like this position is about -2. Strong engine will win this. Eventually it became zeros. Not to like be overly critical or anything of your play, but it's just a normal blitz game, right? It's just people make positional mistakes in blitz games because that's what happens when you don't have time to think. And so what is the logic here? That you are cheating, again, not in the same way as before. Now you're cheating by looking straight ahead. And you give away that you're cheating by saying bishop c8, but then you also choose to fuck the game up completely, because why not? And then eventually you win because your opponent makes a mistake in a time scramble. And I was like, okay, is this a convincing argument, really? Like, let's just think about it. Is this really convincing to anyone?
Could it be that it's considered smart cheating, like you're trying to throw people who might be inspecting the games off?
No, I mean, of course it's possible that like I cheat and I play like shit, and then I also say weird things during the game. That is theoretically possible, but again, is it convincing? I don't really think so in my point of view.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, first of all, the fact that he's going through every single one of my YouTube videos, like, first of all, thank you. I would like more people to do that. But like, okay, first of all, it's thought, like, this is a serious accusation. Like, it's basically thought crime. And what I said on stream is like, am I saying that is there a situation where I would get suspicious of someone saying like X move is very interesting? Yes. And I actually have a great illustration for that. I can send it to you guys later, of like what I consider to be the craziest computer move of all time. And the reason is that like there's a 10 move combination that doesn't work for a reason. So you have to set it up by like playing this move it's like this move h5 with a pawn in like the crazy position. And if someone had said, oh, h5 is very interesting, and then played a different move, it would never be like the sole evidence, but I absolutely could see a case. Like I would find that very suspicious. Or if somebody had played h5 for no reason and then like followed up correctly, right? So it's not like I'm trying to shut down the conversation with saying, oh, you're like accusing me of a crime that George Orwell talked about. But in this particular circumstance, like I was asked to provide an explanation as if anybody who was asking me could ever provide an explanation for a single decision made 2 years ago. And I still tried. Like I said, maybe I can trap the bishop somehow, right? So one explanation that occurred to me is maybe like I'm setting up h6, bishop f4, bishop c3, rook c3, g5, which is like pretty absurd because the white bishop has like d6 and c7 squares, and even b8, by the way, after bishop c8 is played. But again, like at this point, it's at the level of absurdity. So I said this on stream, and Kramnik, of course, uses everything I say to fuel the like the delusion. Like he's like, oh, like amateurs buy this explanation, but GMs lol at it. Well, I was intending this explanation for amateurs. To the GMs who actually asked me, and there were more than I imagined, because this is like actually taking hold. Jan tweeted about it, and some other GMs asked me about it. It's like the real reason is I have no freaking clue what was going through my mind at that second. Shimanov also pointed out a good explanation or a good point to keep in mind, which is that when I stream, and I think Kramnik forgets this point, half of the things I'm saying are either BS that I know are BS, or I'm saying like random stuff that like maybe is like the fourth move of a line or a move that I considered on a previous move. Like maybe I forgot to say that I'm looking at bishop c8 after h6, bishop f4. Actually, I think that's very plausible. The point is not that one of these explanations is the correct one, right? It's that I don't think that this move is nearly at the bar of a move that would be evidence even if it was played. I mean, Naxon's posted 6 positions where he played bishop c8 in a similar move. I sent a bunch of top GMs a position from a game, Fabi, I mean, you can check it out. I think I sent it to you, where bishop c8 is the move played in the game. None of them even pointed it out. And it's the game Adams-Kramnik, Dortmund 1999. Now, of course, I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm trying to illustrate the absurdity of using this as an example, but I'm shocked that it has taken hold. And, you know, I don't know how else I can refute it.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's like our bar, as you mentioned, should not be random weird moves unless we really think these are just completely unthinkable moves. Now, there are maybe scenarios where yeah, a move just doesn't occur to anyone ever. I don't think bishop c8 fits the bill at all. It's a possible move. Like, yeah, it might not come to people's minds, but it could also. I mean, I would like, let's say if you gave this position to like 20 people playing blitz, 20 strong players playing blitz, that like, you know, maybe 17 of them play h6, or you know, maybe a move like knight f6 comes to mind for a lot of people. I also logical move to my view just to get the knight to c5. Or maybe, you know, 1 or 2 play bishop c8, and you don't really have much here except it's not the move that comes to everybody's mind most often.
Nor is it the move played, you know.
Yeah,
and
also wasn't played, which is relevant as well. Although I don't know if it's really relevant. Like if you had played it, I wouldn't think any much of it either, especially
yeah,
not seeing like the full game. Now, if you played bishop c8 and then you played like the next 10 moves or like the top engine line and then your opponent resigned, then at least okay, now we're talking.
That's what he wants you to think. He paused the video right before bishop c3.
Yeah, he didn't show the full game, which either he didn't see the full game or it's not entirely honest to leave out the entire game. Because if we're presenting evidence, then we need to present the full picture. And so we should present the results of the tournament and the full game, what exactly happened. Like imagine if you had lost this game, which didn't happen, but to be honest,
Could have.
it was a random game that ended in a time scramble, right? So anything could happen.
And it's
Uh,
like, yeah, go ahead.
no, no, sorry, I'm going on too
But
long.
because I'm like I'm in my own head about this, I was playing Andrei Esipenko in a blitz match a couple days ago, and I know that I can play really well. Like I think in dynamic positions, I can rattle off like some computer moves, which is what happens with Wesley. You know, like some of these people think I'm 1300. Like I am a 2600 GM. It's like if I was an IM or an FM, I kind of get it. But I had a position with like a cool tactic that I just entered my mind, and I messaged Esipenko in the chat like I think this might be this is a move I'm considering, but I'm afraid it's the number one move. And it was the funniest jokes are the ones that have a grain of truth to them. I played it and I didn't check it with the engine, but he was like, I'm pretty sure it works, and he was laughing too. So it's like now I'm afraid to play a move because I'm afraid that it's the top move, and this move would like be too suspicious to people. I'm up like 6-2 against Magnus in a 3-minute match, and I'm like filming my monitors with my phone. Like Geary 2 days ago, I won 7.5, 2.5 because Anish played like shit. And I, didn't appreciate some of the chat messages or some of the insinuations there. I'm not saying, he thinks one thing or the other. I mean, people are all allowed to think whatever they want to think. Again, I think this is the biggest point to make in this whole discussion is like, I'm not trying to police suspicions at all. But I was filming myself secretly off stream with like literally 5 cameras. And I was anticipating Kramnik making a big deal out of it. And he tweeted about it. So this is actually one of the things that I hate is that like, I'm completely on my own head about this now. I look down and I'm like, oh my God, are they going to think I look down?
No, actually, speaking of, it's interesting that you mentioned like big lopsided scores against people because we've played a few 3-0 matches or mini matches.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like during earlier this year during the what was it, Bucharest event, I was playing a bunch of online blitz for whatever reason, which I don't do too often, but okay, a lot of 3 minute. And so I saw that you played the day that I'm playing Noterbeck, that you
Mm-hmm.
played a match against him, and I think it was very balanced. Okay, Noterbeck is one of the best players and blitz players in the world, and best players in the world in general. It was more or less balanced. It was like very up, back and forth. Then like the next day, on the free day, I play Noterbeck, and the score is it's almost unbelievable. I was like, are people actually going to think I'm cheating? It was 9-1 in my favor, and the one
Whoa.
game I lost, I disconnected in a winning position. So I
You're under
would have
Bucharest,
legitimately
Fabi.
got to him. And we play like a month later, you and I, and the score, like you're just beating me heavily, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why can't I play? It's like 6-2 or maybe somewhere I don't remember exact score, but you're beating me pretty heavily. And this is just like normal. It's like, okay, you have yeah, it's possible that someone gets tilted and you beat a top player by 9-1. It's also possible that you lose 9-1 if you get tilted. It just happens. It's not like unusual. All it means is that you're a very good player. I'm a very good player. Notre Beck's a very good player. And yeah, you're gonna see maybe some variance. Of course, there are qualitative differences between players, but all it means is that we're pretty close in this format of 3-0 blitz, right? It really doesn't mean much, especially in casual games, uh, unless you go to some insane extreme extent, right? Where you know, you're just like adopting Magnus Carr back to back or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is not, I feel, a metric to go by. Also, like one other point, I just thought about it because you said this game was 2 years ago, right?
Yep. Almost exactly.
And
2 years and two
and he is
months.
using modern engines,
Yep.
which I assume that in a kind of vague positional type of situation, that engine 2 years ago might give different first second lines.
I think
Like previously,
Leela was the same version. I actually checked, but I was afraid to say it because people would be like, well, if you're trying to like dispute his version of Stockfish against Wesley, like he used the wrong Stockfish. I was like, well, people are going to think that that's the, like if that's the argument you're making, then you're a cheater. But yeah, you're right. I think that has to be factored in.
it's like one of the least relevant points, perhaps, because I don't really think that we should be basing anything off of this one move. It's like speaking of statistical data points, like you should go by thousands or tens of thousands. You should not be going by one, right? That's at least my basic understanding of statistics is you don't go by one. You go by big numbers.
The more data points, the better. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like you at some point the hunt has to like, okay, I answered the questions. You can't just like keep like digging through my laundry, like take your fucking hands out of my, out of my business. And I think I've demonstrated an openness to like go above and beyond, even to a bad faith actor. And like if that bad faith actor just like continues to like peddle at this point like total nonsense, like things that are literally incoherent, um, like at some point he has to stop. And it's like he's not stopping. And I don't think he's ever gonna stop. Like this is a crusade. It's a self like that's how I mean he's never called it a crusade, but clearly that's what it is.